welcome to the Manchester is Blue show. It's Thursday. It's the afternoon after the night before. City are in the Champions League semi-final. Something I've wanted to say for years, literally years. This is Pep Guardiola's 8th Champions League semi-final. Oh, do you know how good was that yesterday? I was an absolute nervous wreck. That first half when Bellingham, which we will talk about in a moment, scored. In my head, I've already sold myself to the barrage of text messages, emails, and everything else I get from my friends, giving me a right wind up. The only consolation was Liverpool were going out as well, so that was the only highlight of my night. But Brian, we'll come straight to you, pal. Listen, mate, this is massive for us. This is huge. What do you think of the game, firstly?
I wasn't worried, to be fair. I was quite confident. Other than the first 10 minutes when Zinchenko looked a bit like he looked wild, he's dead for 10 minutes. But once that initial 10 minutes went up, where they literally were fast out of blocks, we just didn't settle. And then once we started getting the ball and a bit of possession, and I think we just I think we was literally the same from the 10th minute towards the end. Really, it was comfortable. Really, they scored a goal which you can't do much about those. I'm sure we'll get to that. But other than that, I wasn't worried. I knew we'd score eventually, and the fact that we scored 2 and that was the game. That was pretty much. I knew if we scored 1, we'd score another, and that would be the end of the game. And then as it happened, it played out quite comfortably in the end.
Cloud, come straight on to you, mate. I could tell you're chomping at the bit, pal. I could tell from your messages yesterday you wanted to jump on. Probably would have accepted an invite yesterday. What do you think of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me a lot of when we played in Liverpool. And as the match was going on, I remember saying, sort of, group chat, we're all in. I said, they're coming straight out. It's going to be that intense first 20 minutes, and then I think the game's going to evolve. And obviously, Bellingham scored in the 15th minute, and it was strange, but it was within my expectations, so I always knew the game was still there. I wasn't worrying too much. And then the other shot they had in the 18th minute, soon after, that was a bit worrying. But then after that, they didn't get another attempt at goal, and we just seemed to take the game. And I was thinking to myself, okay, eventually they need to come back. They were looking for that counter, but they couldn't quite get it, and they needed to expand more. But I think how they started the game also came back to haunt them later on. Because of how intense they started, I think their legs went later into the game. And when Foden scored that goal, it was just fantastic. I was getting Kevin De Bruyne against PSG vibes when he put that screamer in.
It was magnificent, wasn't it? Amy, I think you're Phil Foden's biggest fan.
Oh, definitely.
Were you getting told off as well for screaming too loud when it went to the back of the net? I'm sure my neighbours knocked on the wall. I'm positive they did.
Yeah, me and my dad were literally just running around the living room. Honestly, it's mad.
It's fun. That's fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought there were so many sensational performances last night. I want City to go all out and sign Jude Bellingham. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was deserved man of the match, and we'll talk about him in a moment. And obviously from a City point of view, we just looked so much more intelligent in our gameplay. I don't know what it was, but it's kind of like, like Pep Guardiola plays a game, doesn't he? And we kind of play one way in the first half, and the second half we just seem to take it up a notch. We seem to have that second game as our second half, and we kind of knew how to play and how to absorb. And I thought our defence was fantastic. We kept Haaland quiet. Haaland's had the best couple of weeks, has he, from scoring goals. Cloud, what's your thoughts on our defence? I love your tactical aspect of how we performed. I don't necessarily think they fired blanks. I just think that we just performed to our absolute best in defence.
Yeah, I agree. Haaland's a fantastic player, but any forward who's trying to score goals needs space. You need space to be able to create something. And whether it was Diaz, whether it was Stones, whether it was Walker, we had that. We weren't offering him space. And then what I noticed was Haaland was coming a bit deeper. And then he was trying to feed in Bellingham. He was trying to feed him. Is it Dahoud, the other midfielder?
Yeah.
He was trying to feed the other players. But it wasn't just Haaland that we did great defensively. We did great stopping, Roos as well. I thought he was going to be terrible trouble for us because in the first game, he was getting into places, he was dangerous. And in the second game, it was almost like, are we still seeing the same player?
Yeah.
But defensively, it was a fantastic performance. And offensively, the way we use Mahrez and Foden to sort of go in centrally when like Zinchenko came out wide or Walker came out wide was brilliant, because in the first game we lacked that presence in the box. Whereas with De Bruyne getting free range and Foden and Mahrez getting in, we actually had a bit more threat on goal, and it was something I was so happy to see, because I didn't want to be winning by 1 goal. I wanted us to get the second, just so we could relax for the last 15, 20 minutes.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Brian, we'll talk about our midfield in a moment. But what did you think of the Diaz-Stones partnership, and particularly with Zinchenko? I was really surprised to see Zinchenko. I suppose where I'm getting at with this question is, what were your thoughts on Zinchenko, and was that our main defensive lineup last night?
On Monday night's show, Addy made a good point talking about how he's like our mid to possession Zinchenko, and he's like doesn't give the ball away, and I didn't really notice that prior to him mentioning that. And obviously, it was on my mind going into this game, and he was great on the ball. Other than that first 10 minutes, he was great on the ball. I thought he was brilliant, and as solid as we were at the back, there's one thing that I was looking for in this game, and as soon as I saw it, I was settled. And it was in the first leg, Ederson got caught when they could have quite easily scored. When the ball came back to Ederson this time, he was sure he probably booted that ball more times in that game than he has done in any other game. Just, just any game he's played where he's just like, right, bit of pressure, wallop, done. And that to them, the chances that they kind of got in the first leg were from when they pressed really high, and we just took Ederson just thought he's obviously been told to that. I was like, take no chances. Once they start pressing us, clear the ball. And I thought every time I did that, it was like a little bit more of a nail in the coffin. Like, they're not getting to us. The best chance they had last week, Ederson has taken that completely out of the picture, and you are not going to get any kind of pressure on our back four by my passing out to them or them pushing them to me. He's just going to go straight up the pitch. I think that was the basis of a really solid performance for all the back four, really.
Yes, but Amy, on the back four, we obviously have Rodri doing what he can. I've seen mixed results from Rodri, but I thought he was solid last night. I thought he did a great job. But what was your thoughts on Rodri and how you think he played?
I've always really rated Rodri, and I think he's very underrated from our fans and other fans in general. And he didn't in his first season, he was brilliant as well. And I think people were comparing him to Fernandinho, and I think that's why he didn't maybe look as good, because he's never going to be when he's been at us 9-10 years. But I feel pretty confident when he's playing. I don't really particularly worry when he's there. Obviously Fernandinho we've watched be brilliant for the past 10 years, so you can't really compare yet. But I reckon give him 4 or 5 years and we'll be speaking of him like we do about Ferner.
I certainly
Roger's a unit, isn't he? He's a unit in that. He is an absolute unit, and he might not look like it, but he's agile and all, and he's, he'll get stuck in, he wins a lot of headers, and he's always around, and they don't get no free time around Rodri. Yeah, he might not be the fastest, but he's always in there with a toe, and he's a different kind of player to what Fernandinho's given us over the last decade. Definitely is, but he's one thing that he's got a bit of an edge on over Fernandinho is his ball playing, retention of the ball, that first touch is always perfect. He always takes it away from somebody. He's always got that ability to ping one out somewhere left and right. And I think that is the evolution of that role for us. Is definitely Rodri.
I think if we can get Fernandinho for another year or two, signing up just to sit and work alongside Rodri and eventually take over that position, then more the better for me. Tom, how we doing, pal?
Yeah, we're good. It feels like an eternity since I've done one of these.
It is.
I've not sat sitting in a while, so yeah.
And you've still not had a haircut.
Yeah, imagine. I tell you should have seen the state of the barber's floor when I left there on Monday morning. It wasn't great, but no, I'm yeah.
Oh, come on, pal. Let's jump straight into City. Magnificent last night, wasn't it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it was. It was a tough watch, that first 45, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I said last night, when I was watching, I said that them scoring early, I think, was a blessing for us, because we didn't get out of the blocks in the first 10 minutes. We looked like we were caught in two minds as to whether to go for it and try and win the game or to sit back and try and defend what we had. And I think if we'd have, until they scored, we didn't look like we were in the game. And as soon as he scored, it was like, right, we've got to get our arse into gear here. We need a goal to go through. And I think if we'd have played till half time at 0-0, and then we were out in that same mindset in the second half, I think it could have got really, really squeaky for us. But no, I think once we went behind, I don't think we ever looked like losing the game. Once we sort of started playing the way that we know we can play, I thought the second half between sort of 50 minutes and 80 minutes were absolutely sensational. I think Phil Foden is just, I rave about him on this show all the time, and he just gets better and better and better. And he can play anywhere on the pitch, and he's just wherever he plays, he's always a 7, 8, 9 out of 10. And again, I think it was his cross, if I'm not mistaken, for the handball, for the penalty, and then obviously doing what he does best and letting loose from range to seal the tie. But no, it wasn't outstanding in the first half. But I think once we went level, we were always gonna win the game last night.
What I like about Phil is there's so much redemption now for Pep not chucking him in at the deep end years ago. He's kind of like everyone, all the journalists are kind of looking back at saying, actually, do you know what? Phil Foden's been really well managed.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people said it, and City fans said it. I think myself also said it a couple of times. I'd like to see Phil Foden play more. But last season, he sat and he watched David Silva in his final year at City, and he undoubtedly learned a lot of stuff from David Silva. He will have learned a lot of stuff from the likes of Sergio Aguero. He's not played a lot of games, but just being around these sorts of players on the training pitch, and this is why when you just said about Fernandinho as well, these senior players who know the Premier League inside and out, who know the club inside and out, are so important to have for that youth coming through. And Pep always said, and credit to him, he always said that Phil will get his chance when it's right, and he knew what he was doing from the get-go, and he's kept him back, he's dipped him in here and there to give him that sort of experience, and it's paying dividends now. I mean, he scored a last-minute winner in the first leg, and then he scored the goal that inevitably sent us through last night. And like, the sky's the limit with Phil Foden, it really is. And people say about generational talents all the time, and Phil Foden is a generational talent. There's not many Phil Fodens. He's a player that England should be building their squad around for the next 10 years. He's a player that City should be building the squad around for the next 10 years. And as long as he continues in this vein of form, he's just going to be a sensational football player.
He's magnificent. I'm interested to... I think if you're an opposition team looking at City's front three, front four, you've got Foden, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne. They're magnificent, aren't they? I'm going to talk about the PSG game in a moment, and obviously their front three. But looking at our front four, I think Mahrez. I say it every week, Amy. I don't know about you, what you think about this, but I think Mahrez must have the best first touch in football. It just seems to be able to control a ball as if it's a sponge, and I can't get my head around it. And it wasn't that redemption from him last night, scoring a penalty. Yeah. Yeah,
no, that was it for me. When he stepped up, I was like, KDB, Gundogan, he stepped up, I was like, oh no, like, not again. Like, it's going to go one way or the other. And I said to my dad, I was like, if he scores this, that's it. I forgive him. Like, I'm done. And honestly, I didn't really watch. I had like my hands in front of my face. And I thought for a second the keeper was about to get his hand to it. And I was just like, no, not again. And then when it went in, I was like, that's it. So I forgive it. It's clean slate now, and I will watch him as if.
I'm just looking at my phone, and when he scored, I sent a message to my mate saying redemption. And he knew exactly what I meant as well, because I can't have been the only one that was absolutely bricking it. Cloud, what's your thoughts on Mahrez yesterday? Never mind his actual play, but having the balls to step up, and he when he scored that, you see his face. He loved that, didn't he?
It was a huge redemption arc, and I went absolutely mental when he scored. But then a few hours later, I was a bit concerned. That we still don't seem to know who our penalty taker is. It seems to be a case of we're playing rock, paper, scissors every time we get a penalty. And that's something we've got to address. I thought we had addressed it with KDB. I think he's only missed that one penalty against Liverpool. But overall, his spot kick record is quite good. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he said, I'm not feeling too great. I might pull to make the back of my leg. You take it. But that was something that worried me a little bit. But, credit to him.
Cloud, he said in an interview, didn't he, after the game, Mahrez, that he said all along, this was going back weeks, I'm having the next penalty whenever it comes. After the Rodri one, was it? I think he said, the next one that comes is mine. He said, I knew it was mine, and I picked it up and I just walked up to him.
I've not heard that. Did he really?
Yeah, I was after the game last night. He said, look, apparently he's been waiting weeks for a penalty. He said, when it happens, it's mine. I'm having it. And all the players knew as well. So
that's fine. Like anything, if it's done in advance, that's fine. But as long as it's not at the time, while everyone's riled up in emotion. Yeah,
I was just
absolutely.
say that what's his name? Sam Lee had tweeted when we played Dortmund in the home leg, when we got that penalty that was overturned. He tweeted at the time, Mahrez will take this if it's given. Mahrez was the one who was going to take the penalty in the first leg as well. So I think it must have been something that's been decided in advance. But I think I agree with Ollie's. When I seen it out, it was just flashbacks to that penalty at Anfield. And he struck it well though, didn't he? It was probably the best penalty of it all season. It was, keep on getting to that. So.
We had a thing a few weeks ago where we talked about who would you have in the penalty shootout as one of your 5, and I said Mahrez straight away.
I'd have Mahrez without question.
I'd have him in there, especially an on-form Mahrez, which he is. Mahrez from 6 to 12 months ago, I probably would have been like, no, maybe not, but the way he's been since Christmas time, especially, I'd have him all day long. And if he's going to take him for the rest of the season, then I would be absolutely confident.
I saw a stat the other day that Mahrez is in the top 1 percentile in finishing in the top 5 leagues, and I don't see why you wouldn't have him as a penalty taker. He knows where the goal is. Yeah, he has a few wild swings at the ball, but it's kind of his job to keep those chances. I don't mind him missing every now and then because 9 times out of 10. Or maybe 2 times.
His penalty record's not that great, though. Yeah. That's the only reason I wouldn't take him. He's got quite a hit-and-miss penalty record. I don't know why. Maybe it's nerves or something. But in an actual penalty shootout, I think I'd probably go with Gundogan, De Bruyne, Foden, Ederson. And then, for some reason, I fancy Ruben Diaz taking one. If that was my 5, I would probably go for those.
I don't worry about penalty shootouts. We always win them. It's the penalties in game that we I think how many penalty shootouts in a row we won. Whenever it comes down to it, we're all right. But it's taking ones in game that trip us up. So
I've been to Wembley a few times and biting my fingernails to the penalty shoot. I hate penalty shootouts at the best of times. But we're gonna move on to Gundogan's performance last night. Brian, I really want your opinion on Gundogan and how you think he fit in last night.
He just did. For me, he was just had an average game. He did what I expect him to do every game. Really, it's just be neat and tidy on the ball, put forward passes, dictate a bit of tempo. I was quite surprised he actually got man of the match. To be fair, I thought, given what Foden did and how much he basically won the game in that little spell, with the supplying across for the penalty and then obviously that goal he scored. And he always looked a threat. I thought Foden was probably the man of the match for me, but I think Gundogan's he's in the form of his life. He's an 8 out of 10 every week now, and anything above that, he's producing goals out of it, and he never drops below an 8 really. So he's just like another good game, another senior. He's a real good senior professional, and we're in this position we're in now because of Gundogan and how he has stepped up this season. So for me, it's like if he can keep this form up for the rest of the season, then we're going to be able to stop in any game.
Yeah, spot on. I still feel like he's got an extra bit in him. I don't know why. I still feel like he's got an extra couple more goals left him in the season, and important goals to come. And we've got a massive game against Chelsea, haven't we, on Saturday? It's funny, isn't it? We're making wholesale changes week in, week out at the moment. We'll talk a bit about Chelsea later. In fact, I don't mind doing it now, but Cloud, what's your thoughts? Are you expecting to see 5 or 6 changes again for the semi-final, or are you thinking full strength squad again?
I think we've got to rotate. But I think we've got stronger players coming in when we have others coming out. Like Cancelo didn't play, he can come in. Sterling was rested, so he can maybe come in, show Pep, and say, "Look, I know I haven't been on form lately, but let me show you against Chelsea." It's a big game to prove himself because. In the Premier League, I said it a few weeks ago, Chelsea are probably the team that I see as the most dangerous right now. I don't read too much into the West Brom game because Thiago got sent off, but I look at them and I think I'm getting ahead of myself now, but if we did get to the final, I wouldn't fancy Chelsea. I would probably prefer Real Madrid at this moment in time over Chelsea. But yeah, we've got a lot of players who can come in. I'd like to see Cancelo come in. I'd like to see Sterling come in. I'd like to see Torres get a run out because I think he's still got a load that he can really prove. And then I kind of want to know what's going on in this striker position. I know Aguero's injured again, but I need to know what we're doing there. I mean, Torres has played there before early in the season and looked quite good. Maybe give him a run out in that position because he's not going to get time on the right wing with Mahrez. He's not going to get time on the left wing with Foden.
Did anyone remember yesterday, Amy? Do you remember yesterday when Gundogan was almost having a tussle with one of their players? Does anyone else remember this?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
What was that for?
Yeah.
Does anyone know what that was for? Because I've never seen Gundogan react like that.
Something must have proper wound him up, because the commentator as well. The commentators wound me up last night, but the commentator said something about he's always playing with a smile on his face, and he usually is a really happy man. And so I don't think they ever really dived too deeply into it, but something happened that wound him up, because it proper rattled it.
It took Haaland to stand in front of him and the referee to calm things down a little bit, didn't he? Bless him. So it was Bellingham that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was Bellingham. I'd love to know what that was about. Maybe something was said or what, I don't know. But
maybe he was trying to rattle him because Bellingham was on a yellow card already.
Maybe
it was strategic. I don't know. I've not really seen us play that way before or use those sort of tactics, but I didn't see anything that could make sense, possibly.
One of the things I want to talk to everyone about is we're going to go to the PSG game soon. We need to learn, and I think we have learned to a great extent through Fernandinho. I think the dark arts of football really need to come into our game in the next couple of fixtures, particularly against PSG. We really need to. I love the phrase shithousery.
I was going to say that. Are you going to refer to it as what it should be?
I love that phrase so much. I'm going to use it for what it is, and it's just a shame I can't call it that on the podcast. But I just want to see more of. I just want to see more of us do more of that. Fernandinho seems to be brilliant at it. I just want more of the team to be able to do the little touches, little niggles, little clips here and there. Fernandinho gets away with about 10 a game before he gets a yellow card. I just can't understand why. Does anyone else have a reason behind it?
Because he smiles.
He's so nice, isn't he?
Just like, we
didn't mean it.
Yeah, I fouled you, and what? Move on. Do it again in a minute. No, he does it.
And
the
what?
Other week when the other week he did it, didn't he? He fouled someone, just had a smile on his face, and he was and what are you going to do?
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he'd done. He broke up an attacking phase of play, and he's like, well, I'll take a yellow card, mate. I won't be playing next week anyway, so it don't bother me.
So did the man of the match fix for everyone else? And did everyone else have Gundogan as man of the match? Who were your key players last night, guys? Amy, who was your key player last night?
I've gone Foden,
Yeah.
100%, no doubt about it. Because mainly his age as well, like a 20-year-old doing assisting one of the goals technically and scoring in such a big game. I think he deserved it. And then if not, probably Mahrez for stepping up to that.
Did one of Phil Foden's family members die in the week? Because I'm sure I heard the commentator mention something about something like that.
There is something on his Twitter page. I don't know whether it's his granddad or something like that. It is somebody either close to the family or like a.
Because he pointed up to the sky. When we
somebody
scored.
has.
So if he needs to use that motivation, then I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was brilliant. But I thought someone else was brilliant last night, and you kind of expect it now since he's the highest paid player for City's history. Kevin De Bruyne just was not going to let that game go last night, was he? He just seemed to be on absolutely everything, and I love it. I love it when he's pissed off. I love it when his face is bright red and he's angry and he's chasing everything and he's mouthing, he's shouting at the referee every 2 minutes. Tom, what was your thoughts of our future captain?
He was, I think in the first half, he looked like we weren't great in the first half, but it looked like if anything was going to come, it was going to come through De Bruyne. And his shot where he hit the bar, where he was off balance and he somehow managed to swivel and it cannoned back off the other side of the bar. And then obviously just before Foden scored, he had that run where he cut in and won the corner obviously that we scored from. But when he's in that sort of zone, he's so unplayable. He's with his back to goal. I see it so much where he takes a quick on a counter attack. He'll take a quick touch and open up his body, and he's got such a good turn of pace as well. There's nothing that he can't do, and it's that sort of determination, that almost again that sort of it's not shithousery from De Bruyne, but that sort of just will to win and just want to get through every game. And he was never going to be on the losing side last night either. He was. I think I'd have Foden as my man of the match last night as well, only on the basis that he scored that goal. And we had a lot of good performances last night, but De Bruyne wasn't far off either. I think he sort of was at the centre of everything that went right for us last night as well.
I can't remember. I did a bit of research, and I can't find. Forgive me tell me if I'm wrong, but another player that's run up to Pep and give him a cuddle after he scored. That was amazing. That was so nice, wasn't it? After he scored, just to see him run up to and I saw the bench come out and celebrate, and it looked like a proper proper team spirit. That, and I don't know if anyone has ever seen another player do that to Pep. I don't think I have at City. Definitely
No.
not Barca, maybe.
No.
I don't know. It's obviously
There is a similar picture of Messi,
Messi.
when he was a kid doing the same picture. Pep with a little bit of hair, and Messi when he was younger, like having it's like almost like for like the picture, which is incredible to see.
Shivers. Yeah.
The current greatest of all time next to the future greatest of all time. It's incredible. So, yeah, that's I've not seen it at City though.
About sorry, just before you move about De Bruyne there, did you? I noticed he wasn't very effective as a false nine last night. I don't think he had more of an impact on the game when he sort of like drifted into that third midfielder slot and somebody else went into the false nine like Bernardo. I feel like for the first 30 minutes of the game, he kind of took one for the team and occupied that space. But then I think he realised that maybe the squad shifted a bit and like maybe switch him over a bit, and he made that pivot of the front three. He was more he was in that role, and the more he was floating in those positions, he was more effective in the game rather than occupying. I just didn't think he suited the false nine last night, just because I think he's got massive shoulders, Kevin De Bruyne. He wanted to be the man, and he was finding it difficult in the first initial stage of the game to impact the game like he could have done if he'd have been playing as a midfield three. I don't know if he's noticed that, or it's just my take on it.
You know what? I struggled. I was too busy watching Phil. I really wanted to concentrate on Phil Foden last night and positioning play. I think from an all-round play, Kevin is phenomenal. I think teams will always line up to have an extra player marking him as well. I think it was a really tough game for him last night because we both wanted to win the midfield battle. I think both teams. The question is, will you learn from that going into the PSG game? Because I have no idea how we're going to line up against PSG. I just hope Pep doesn't overthink it. I really don't.
I think he's past that now. I think he's. I think last night was as big a result for Pep as an individual as it was for our club. Getting over his own mindset. I think.
Got a question for you. How much do you think Haaland's worth? 150 they're talking about?
No, not in this current climate. I don't think. If COVID hadn't happened, and in relation to the other transfers that have gone down, I would say 130, 140. I think the Mbappe one was a bit over the top, really.
Just a bit, wasn't it? What?
I think 130, 140 would be. If somebody was to pay that, and I saw it in the news, like 130 million, I'd be like, okay, well, you want to pay it? I think that's what his ceiling is, his value, his potential. But
where does Phil Foden sit in the price range compared to Haaland? He must be close for his age. I'll just go for what I was at. If it was another English team buying Phil Foden, you're probably talking around the same amount of money. So if 100 million plus, if it was us buying Phil Foden from another team, you'd be talking 100 million just because he's English. Yeah,
there's a premium there. If it was us buying that sort of player from Dortmund or I don't know, Juventus, somebody like that, I think you'd probably looking at him just below 100. Just purely in the fact that he's English, he's probably what's going to make his price a bit higher.
It's not often I talk about an opposition player in much detail, and Cloud, I really want your opinion on Bellingham. We'll move on in a moment, but what's your thoughts on Jude last night? Because he obviously made a fantastic career move, didn't he, going over to Dortmund?
Yeah, and he's gone to the right place as well for development because this is what they do. They're fantastic at developing youth. Rodri for us in the first half ran more than anyone else on our side, and Bellingham ran more than anyone else on Dortmund's side. And that sort of energy, especially in the first 20 minutes for that side, was incredible. And something that we have lacked in midfield during times is energy. So, he could be fantastic. He's got great technique. He's got great finishing. I'm not going to compare him to Foden because I think they're very different players, and it's just because they're English and of a similar age. I think I'd be doing him injustice, but he's a very, very talented player. And when I hear rumours of Jack Grealish being linked to us, I think we would be better off going for someone like Bellingham. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's the sort of player that you would like to bring on to make a change in a side.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bellingham under Pep Guardiola would be unstoppable. Was he 17?
18.
18.
Cloud, on top of what you just said there, what do you think Bellingham's best position is? What do you think what sort of midfielder is he? Because I can't put it down to what sort of midfielder he is. You know, he doesn't necessarily fit. He doesn't fit anything, does he? That's specific.
But when Gundogan's allowed to go free, and I think that's why he didn't do it in this game, was because De Bruyne had like free reign and he was sort of there with Rodri. He made a few runs, but he made them from a lot deeper. And to me, that's why Gundogan got my man of the match, because he was constantly changing his tactics. He knew when to run, when to come back, and that sort of strain on your mind during the game, it takes a huge toll. I think Bellingham's the sort of player you've got to give him the freedom to go forward. De Bruyne does it; he likes to get forward. Foden does it; he likes to go forward. So he's probably going to be, if it's not centre attacking mid, central mid, but you've got to give him the reins to go forward. You've got to let him go for goal, because that drives him. Look what he did to Ederson. One poor touch, and that was all he needed.
It's a cracking goal. He didn't kick it, did he? He kind of passed it into the top corner with so much maturity. And one thing I liked about him as well, he was bossing people around that were 10 years older than him. He was pointing. He was doing that central midfield position that you want to see a captain doing. I think I can't see him staying at Dortmund. Dortmund are going to sell him at some point. I don't know where he's going to go. I can see him ending up at a Chelsea or something like that.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
Yeah, just because of their midfield history. Anyway, we're going to move on because the game, the semi-final over 2 legs. We got PSG. I said a few weeks ago, if the first choice, if the best City team turns up, I can see us beating anybody, and I can see us beating PSG if we turn up. Their front three really concerns me. Di Maria, Mbappe, Neymar. The first game is the 28th of April, so it's literally a few weeks away, isn't it? We'll be jumping straight into that. Amy, what's your thoughts on that first leg? Because obviously we've got 3 really big games beforehand, but let's stay on the Champions League theme for now. What's your thoughts on the PSG game?
I'm just very worried about them on the counter, because against Bayern Munich in the first leg, what was it? Was it 3 out of 4 they scored on target? Something ridiculous like that. And every single time they got through Bayern's defence so easily. And I know our defence is a lot better than it was last season, but if we come up, Mbappe and Neymar running at like some John Stones, I know he's brilliant, but I can see them getting through us very easily, because if they can do that to Bayern, they can do that to most teams, realistically.
This is where we need the solid back four. This is where we need the Stone. I don't particularly think Stone's had an amazing game last night.
No.
I still think he's got another couple of levels left in him, but we need everybody to be on their absolute A game. If we're not on our A game, we're going to get punished. Is it home or away the first leg?
Away.
Right, which is
very
which I'm not happy. But what do you say, Tom? Sorry, pal.
I just was going to say, I think you said you're not happy about it. I so much prefer to be at home in that first leg.
Yeah.
I had this conversation last night as well, and the away goal rule is so outdated in the Champions League. It needs scrapping, because I understand it was initially implemented to prevent teams from going away from home and sitting 11 men behind the ball, but it's now the exact opposite. If anything, if I'm a manager managing a team in a 2-leg tie, I'd say shut up shop at home, 0-0, and then go away and play expansive football, because every goal's worth double. And you look at last night, and you look at, I think back to that Spurs game where we won on the night and went out on away goals. When you're in a tight game, in a tight 2-legged tie, which I imagine this PSG tie will be, if we're at home in that second leg, say we go and win 2-1 in Paris, and then they go and score early at ours, all of a sudden that second leg is every goal they score, it's effectively 2 goals. And I'd just much rather they say, I think if you top your group, you get the home leg second in the first knockout round, and that's meant to be a bonus. But I just don't agree with it. I think you'd always want to play the away leg second, because for that exact reason, that when you get late into the tie and it's tight, you've got that extra incentive of your goals just being worth more purely on the fact that you're away from home. And added to that, our away form this season has been a lot better than our home form. So I'd rather play away anyway, because we win every game we play away. We don't win every game we play at home.
Yeah, on the topic I mentioned before, Tom, I think you were just joining us at that point. I was saying that I think Pep treats the the two legs as a first half and a second half, and we always play better in the second half. And I think we would need that first game to really find them out, get to play against them, get to understand their experience, and we need that added bonus of having the away leg in the second leg just to be able to really go at them, and they're going to be able to do that for us. But we just need to make sure we keep shut up shop, and if I can't judge that game because I really don't know what team's going to turn up. We play Tottenham on Sunday the 25th at 4:30, and we play 3 days later on the Wednesday in the Champions League semi-final first. It's going to be changes, overload, isn't it? There's going to be so many changes. It's 3 days from a final to the semi-final. I can't get my head around it. It worries me, actually.
They're not top of their head. They're domestically, they're second place. I don't know what their priorities are, but I assume they're going to want to win that league. So at some point, they're going to have to start concentrating on their domestic form to make up that 3-point gap, which I'm looking at here.
It's out of their hands as well. They got beat by Lille I think 2 weeks ago, so I think it's 6 games to go.
So they've it's not wrapped up for them to be champions of their own division, so they're going to want to try and come away with that.
That's handy too, because usually at this stage of the season, PSG have already won everything.
That's the same with Bayern weren't doing. We're literally the only team in Europe which has got some sort of comfortable lead at the top now. We've got the Chelsea game in the FA Cup coming up. The Chelsea are going to be focusing heavily on both competitions, rather than what we're in a luxurious position now. We can, barring the final, we can start to rotate in the league just to tick by. We're all injuries concerned, we're going to be going into each Champions League game now with our best 11 available.
It worries me,
and that will be managed
so
to that point.
I know where you're coming from, Brian. It worries me so much that you use the phrase "we can rotate in the league." I really just want to get the league wrapped up. I know what you mean, and it is the right option because we got more league games and we're 11 points ahead. I get that. I completely get that. It just worries me that we're not prioritising the league.
Well, I think we are. It's just. It's coming to the point now where we're reaping the rewards for having such a consistent run in the league now that we can get to a position where it's not resting routine. It's just literally giving somebody else a chance to stamp his authority in that position, so that it's a choice in between two players, one position, and whoever's playing the best, at least you've had a chance to prove it. Everyone seems to be worried about Paris Saint-Germain and this amazing front three. I don't put that amazing front three any higher than Liverpool's front three, and we've dealt with them quite easily. United's front three of Rashford and Martial, they're just as dangerous. I'd be more worried about playing Man United. I generally would be more worried about playing Man United in the Champions League semi-final would be Paris Saint-Germain, just because we've not dealt very well with United. I just don't see Paris Saint-Germain being this super threat that everyone thinks they are. Di Maria isn't the youngest player anymore, and I can't see him being very dominant against us. Obviously, everyone's on about Mbappe, but we've just smothered the world's most potent striker for 2 legs. We've just smothered him, and that just wasn't a one-off. It was 2 lots of 90 minutes where he's had one good opportunity to score, and that's just not coming from 2 centre-backs. That's from having Rodri on the peak of his game and Walker, who was covering. We're more than equipped to be able to deal with any kind of front three, because let's be honest, there's some really good players in that Dortmund team, and there is some good players in Paris Saint-Germain's team, but I'm not concerned. It's just another game for me where if we turn up and we're on the top of our game, I'm just happy that we'll just tick over and we'll just eventually come out on top over 2 legs. And I think I disagree with you, Tom. I think having the away leg first in semi-final is brilliant for us. I really do, because if we can go there and we can get that job done, that gives us such an easing into the second leg, because they've got to come there and it plays into our hands. I feel like having the home leg against Dortmund was more difficult than going away, if that makes sense. Just for me personally, I feel like.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, having that away leg against Paris Saint-Germain, they're not top of their league. They're going to be. They haven't got the greatest of squads. They haven't got this 20-man squad that they can rotate and get some of their best players in, week out. We have. So go into that game, especially away from home, if we can come out of there without losing, I've just put us favourites to get to the final comfortably.
I was watching the game this morning, and it's strange PSG where I don't think people have really watched them since Pochettino's taken over, because everyone who's spoken to me has spoken of the front three of Di Maria, Neymar and Mbappe, but they're not playing that front three. they're playing Draxler in the front three, and they've got Neymar in midfield. And when I was watching the Bayern game, what was happening he was trying to press the sort of the base midfield, the defensive midfield of Bayern. And then when they moved into a double pivot because they moved David Alaba up there, he couldn't really mark both, and they had to change their system. And you could see him getting frustrated. He wasn't able to feed it. And then when the ball was getting fed in, Mbappe was going down the left-hand side. If that happens, John Stones or Diaz can sort of push him further out to the point where he can't get a shot off. You've got Di Maria on the other side. I don't know if it would be Laporte or Diaz on that side. But, I agree with you. We've stopped Haaland. Could come back to bite me. Mistakes happen. But their front three is dangerous on reputation. I'm more worried about their defence because Kimpembe and who's the other one? Marquinhos. Because of how much they've spent on forward players like Icardi, like Neymar, like Mbappe, and financial fair play, they've had to stick with the same defensive partnership. And those defensive partnerships, who are a unit over multiple years, they tend to work so well together, like the partnership we got now with Diaz and Stones. It's fresh, but they work well. I'm more worried about what we can put past them and not what they can put past us.
I do look at
just
quickly. I was going to say, I do think I am worried by the way PSG play. I am worried by that counter-attacking play, which they play in a very similar way. And you said it, Brian, about United's front three. The way they play is very similar to United in that respect. And it's just absolute carnage, just fast players running everywhere. And Mbappe, he's shown, particularly in that first leg, how good his finishing is. Neuer had a bit of a stinker for the first goal, granted, but his second goal in that first leg was just a really, really smart finish. They showed him his inside, and he took him outside and scored. And I just think that Bayern Munich with Lewandowski in the side would have won that tie for me. I think that they made enough chances, they created enough to win the tie comfortably, and that is something which we have done so much better at this season, with the exception of the odd game Leeds, for example. When we've been creating chances, we've been taking them, and I think we'll create enough to beat PSG. We'll create enough over two legs to beat any side in the world because we've got the best creative setup of any side in the world. But we just got to take those chances, and it's a case of who you start in that centre forward role. I can't see him starting Jesus against a team like PSG. I do think we'll carry on with that false nine that's worked so well in the Champions League so far. But yeah, I'm concerned by PSG. I'm concerned about the way they can hit us on the break. John Stones, for me, has looked iffy since coming back from the international break. He dropped a clanger for England. He got burnt by Stuart Dallas, which worries me massively to think if Stuart Dallas can beat him in a foot race, God knows what Mbappe can do. And again, I don't think he was incredible last night. I'd like to see him play as much as he can in the lead up to that game, because I think he needs to find his form again, because I don't think he's been amazing. But no, it does worry me. But yeah, I think so long as we've got our finishing boots on, we'll create enough to win the tie.
I feel like we're kind of talking ourselves into, there's a general City fan base, most of them that I've seen everywhere, talking ourselves into a tough game here when we're favourites for the Champions League for a reason. We are probably the best team that's left in it, and we have been in this since the quarter-final. So I think, we have to give ourselves a bit of respect here and say we are the strongest team. We are in the best form. We have got our domestic side of things wrapped up pretty much. So we are in the best position to take. That they should be fearing us rather than us talking ourselves into a tough game with them. They should be the ones that are talking about us, saying how we're going to beat the City team if they do this, if they do that. They're in a lot more trouble than we are.
I think
we should be more proactive rather than.
I think there's a podcast somewhere near Paris. Manchester, Paris is blue, with 5 people saying exactly the same thing. I'm absolutely bricking it against Mahrez, Foden, De Bruyne, Gundogan. Look at their back four. How are we ever going to break down them?
Yeah,
I think they'll be just as nervous about us.
Yeah, I think they probably will be a lot more nervous than us, because they are in terms of winning the Champions League. They're in a similar situation where their pressure is on them internally to win it because the amount of finances that have been put into that club. So they are on the same sort of footing as we are and going for that. But I'm not worried one bit, and I suspect that they know the amount of pressure they're going to be under, both domestically and in this Champions League, to actually just get one of them over the line. I think something's got to give. and they're not that strong in terms of depth. So
No.
we
If you
shouldn't
were to
worry.
do a
We should be
combined
confident.
11, 2, maybe.
The good thing is UEFA hate us both equally, so it's cool for either team to get.
It's the petrochemical semi-final, isn't it? It's amazing. It's just
The oil money derby.
The oil money derby. Carl, you just had a really good question there. Combined 11. That's a
I see
podcast.
2.
That's a podcast I want to do.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do that as a podcast. Combined 11. PSG.
We won't answer it now.
Go on.
I will.
Give us...
I will. Not a single one of them. I wouldn't put anyone. I wouldn't put one of them in our starting 11. Not right now. Even Mbappe. Would you put Mbappe over Foden? No.
Not over
Sorry.
Foden, but I would put him in as striker.
I wouldn't.
Just because we don't have
I mean,
one.
going for. No, not right now.
Go on, Brian.
Tom's either ranting to himself or he's muted here.
Is Tom,
He's-
Tom, you muted, pal. Sorry, mate.
Nice.
God, who's the other player, Cloud? Is he showing you
if I was
the, is he
gonna-
showing you the finger there, Brian?
He's gassed out and he is.
He's gone. He's
Yeah,
gone.
I mean, it's just a question of the day, but I'm not.
Go on.
I'm
Who's
not-
the other one, Cloud? Who's the other one?
I'd have Mbappe, and I'd probably have to put Neymar in.
Nah, I couldn't be doing with his drama. He's a mad ass.
Yeah,
I couldn't be bothered with him. I couldn't be bothered seeing him in the City shirt and having to deal with, like, oh, not that again. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm sick of seeing the little clips I see on Twitter now.
Yeah.
Let alone seeing that every week. Not for us.
I love it. Tom, are you back with us, pal?
Did you hear me ranting then?
No, nothing.
No.
Just sort of
Right,
gestures.
We're just sure you're giving it loads of this, like an Italian waiter not happy with your wine choice.
All of a sudden, everything went mute. I don't know what happened, but anyway, the moment's gone.
I want to know now.
It could have been something amazing. I don't know. I don't know what I said, but like I said, the moment's gone. I can only apologise.
Well, we are going to do the podcast where I want to have people's opinions on City. We'll try and get. Do you know what? We'll try and get a couple of PSG fans on as well, because I think that could be a really interesting conversation. And it'd be interesting to hear their viewpoint of it as well, because I'm sure they'll be thinking the same thing about Brian, what you said. I'm sure they'll be just as nervous as playing us as we are playing them. Saying that, Brian's up for it, aren't you, pal? You're having this.
I'm not worried. I'm just not worried. I want to get the league, a couple of games to the League Cup, and then we can start thinking about the Champions League and see
That
what
genuinely
position we're in on
scares
them.
me, Brian, how you can sit there and say you're not worried.
Yeah, let's have the voice of reason. Let's have the voice of reason.
That scares me. You're in some crazy mindset that you can sit there and not be worried about the Champions League.
I'm a new kind of. I'm evolved. I've evolved past the pessimism. I've evolved past it. You know.
It's petrifying. It's
Right, let's have the Amy, you've been promoted to the voice of reason. What do you think about PSG?
I'm terrified.
Oh, here we go. Come on, bring that Brian.
Yeah, I'm worried. No, I'm very worried. I think there's only going to be one goal in it maximum. Maximum.
Really?
Yeah.
A tight affair? I don't know. I just can't call it. I really can't
on
call
the
it.
fence in the best of times, Tom. You sit in the fence on pre-season friendlies, so you're not going to come out here and say the Champions League semi-final.
I remember sitting on the fence when we played Stockport.
I don't think Pochettino's got it in him to master a victory over two legs against us. Just don't think he has. No, but no, that was very, very different. They were very, very different circumstances, and we could have won that game that by 12 goals. You know what I mean? It was like that, but
He didn't, because Pochettino.
no, I just don't think he's got it in him. I just don't think he's. I don't. In a year's time, yeah, but he's brand new at Paris Saint-Germain, and I don't think he's gonna got it. He's got it in to be able.
He has won a trophy at Paris already, hasn't he? It was like
He
his
walked
second
into it. He
game
might as
or
well. He might as well have turned up on the day and. Yeah.
I could have won that trophy at Paris Saint-Germain.
I saw a tweet when the game had finished yesterday. It says City versus the eternal bottler, Pochettino, and I was just like, oh, I don't like that straight away.
Yeah, he is a bottler.
The eternal bottler.
Well, just got to think of it as we're too good. He's not going to be able to cope with it. He couldn't, you can't handle. He's never won a trophy domestically in England. He was never good enough. He was never going to win. If he's still there for another 30 years, he wouldn't. And I think.
You're saying all the wrong things, Brian. You're setting us up.
I'm saying all the right things, Tom. I'm saying all the.
Everything scares me. It scares me so much.
Oh, have some confidence, mate.
No, I can't.
Yeah, but
I want confidence.
we-
Always better to be a pessimist.
It's not at all. It's not. Enjoy the ride.
Lose.
Right. I'll also this is like we are potentially.
Did you just say enjoy the ride?
Enjoy the ride, mate. Rather than sitting there and being worried about it, enjoy it. Because we're potentially 7 wins away from.
You
Don't
said.
say
Do
that
you know how?
word.
Do you know how?
Don't say
Brian,
the word, Brian. If you
Brian,
say the word,
Immortality was 7 wins away.
I'll take that word.
Yeah,
Don't say
I've
the word.
stopped using the Q word.
Brian,
Immortality.
the way you sound now, it sounds like 7-pint Tom, as in me. After we've had a drink, I am well up for it. I'm like, we're going to smash everybody. No question marks.
Always the fire, Tom, isn't it? An open
That's
fire.
open fire, bottle of red
Open
wine.
fire.
City are going to conquer Europe. That's it. We're marching on forever. That's the lead song. Oh no. Shivers. Right. I think we've done Champions League. I want to spend 5 minutes talking about the semi-final this weekend against Chelsea. Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. I quite like the fact we've got a game every 3 or 4 days because it kind of keeps that momentum going for me. And if we were to drop points, we'll lose a game. We can kind of build it back up a couple of days later. Tom, I'm going to come straight into you here. City Chelsea. Are we going to see changes, or are we going to go rolling straight in, full strength, toughest squad, and then make wholesale changes against the Villa on the Wednesday following? What would you do if you were Pep?
I think it's the only player that with the exception of obviously Stefan in goal, the only player that I think will 100% start at the weekend is Raheem Sterling because he needs that.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but when he got put in 1-on-1 in the 90th minute, right, there was no chance he was ever scoring that goal because he's just not in that vein of form. And we need Sterling to find that form and fast because when we come into a 2-leg tie against PSG, which Brian thinks will win 10-0, but in reality it could be quite close, you need your likes of Raheem Sterling that you can call upon off the bench to come on and change the game. And I think what did he play? Maybe 5 minutes in that whole tie against Dortmund and had like 3 touches of the ball. And he is a player that we know how good Sterling is. Raheem Sterling between 2017 and 2019 is one of the best Premier League wingers of all time. And if we can find that form again, he could be massive for the rest of the season. But I do think we'll make changes. Who will change? I'm not sure because we've tried many times and failed many times to predict a Pep starting 11. I think we might see Fernandinho back in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Fernandinho back in there. I think Sterling will start. I think De Bruyne will continue. I think we'll see him again. And then Laporte, if he's fit, is Laporte fit? Do we know? I don't really know what his current fitness status is. Cancelo will definitely come back in, but I think it's more important for us to. I don't want to say it's more important to beat Chelsea than it is to beat Villa, but I do think, as much as Pep says, we're not thinking about winning all 4 trophies, and we're not thinking about this, we're not thinking about that. We're only looking ahead to the next game. The next game is Chelsea that we want to win, but also the squad will know deep down that there is an opportunity that no one will ever come as close to doing this again. If anyone's ever going to do the Q word that we won't mention, it will be this season. I don't think anyone will get close to it again. So we have got a chance to.
We have got all the tools available to us.
Yeah,
to do it.
And we do. And to think about it, if we beat Chelsea, I'm not saying Leicester or Southampton are going to be an easy ride in the final. But we know that if we beat Chelsea, we're looking in a really good position to win the FA Cup. We're in a really good position to win the Carabao Cup, and we're the current favourites for the Champions League as well. So we couldn't be better set. We'll make changes, but we'll definitely see enough to beat Chelsea at the weekend, I hope.
Oh, Amy, what's your thoughts on the Chelsea game?
I'm very relaxed about it, to be honest. I'm not worried. I think we're going to easily beat them.
Oh,
I mean, this could come back. They might go viral. We'll lose 5-0. I don't know, but I think we're beating them easily.
You sound like Brian. Did you just say
No,
5-0 then?
No, that definitely wasn't it. I mean, my predictions have been up so far, but that one definitely. I reckon 4-1. 4-1, easy.
Lovely.
Come on, Cloud, what's your thoughts on the game, pal? Give us your tactical analysis of how we're going to break down the Cockney bastards and give a good hiding. Come on. I hate Chelsea.
I hate back fives. I hate back fives with a passion. I think Cancelo coming back into the side is going to be good. I still think we need to field a strong side, and more importantly, not so much about Villa or anyone like that, or anyone in the league right now. I think the important thing is for those players, they need to know the Q word is still up for grabs before getting into the game against PSG. Whether we do it or not is irrelevant, but just being in the opportunity to grasp it mentally gives you that edge that no one else has. And it's a tough game. I think Chelsea are brilliant. Tuchel's done wonders. The squad seems to be doing so well under him. It's just their players all seem to be coming out. Havertz has looked like he's ready to go up to the next level for a while, but hasn't quite done it. Mount's looked on fire. They finally seem to have things at the back sorted. I do agree with what Tom said, where Sterling needs this game. Ever since probably Arsenal, I've said to you on the podcast, he's been out of form and he seems to have lost that ability when he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Where it's not just like he takes one too many touches, it's like he takes 4 too many touches and dribbles himself out. And it's a bit strange how as he's come out of form, Mahrez has come into form. Good for us, but if we can get Sterling back on form, that's going to be massive for us, because when I look at our wingers, when I look at Foden and when I look at Mahrez, I don't see anyone else that we can bring on to make a difference, which is something every other year we've always had. When we've had Sane, we've had Mahrez, we've had Sterling, all in good form. We don't really seem to have that anymore, and I think that's something we need to fix before we go back to the Champions League.
We could realistically, by the time we play PSG in that first leg, we could have the Carabao Cup secured, an FA Cup final against Southampton or Leicester, and the Premier League virtually one and a half hands on the trophy. Or, on the other hand, we could have lost the Carabao Cup final, we could be out of the FA Cup, and United could be top of the league. So it really is, it's so tight at the minute that it could just go. This next 2 weeks is the biggest 2 weeks in the last however long of Manchester City Football Club for me.
Since the last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We said that about February.
Yeah. And I'll say it again. Yeah, I'll say it again. The next game is massive. It's the biggest game of the season on Saturday.
We'll keep saying it, and like I say, if we win, if we do the word, it'll never be done again, and it'll be the best thing to ever happen. And people will still say that Arsenal's invincible side better than this side, because it's ridiculous. But no, it's a very, very exciting and very, very petrifying fortnight and the rest coming up for Manchester City for sure.
I'd be more worried if we were struggling with our injuries and players were out of form a lot. We're
really lucky with injuries this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're practically got a full strength team every
Can't
week
believe
now.
you just said that, Tom.
I touch all the wood, everything. My head.
What a dick.
If you look at the big picture, Chelsea are possibly the second form team in the league at the moment. They're up there, aren't they, in the top form table, second, third team. I still don't think that Chelsea are going to cause us much problems. I just don't think they've got enough to be able to keep possession. We've got some great individual players, but I'm not worried. I'm more in a game like this. I'm more worried that we will capitulate and it'll be our own fault rather than being outplayed.
I can see it go.
I say this all season, Tom.
Does it go to penalties?
Yes.
Extra time and penalty. I could see it go to penalties. I could generally see it being a draw.
All season, right? Even the game against Spurs and even the game against Leicester, where Leicester was probably the most embarrassing result of the season we've had. I still don't feel like we played bad in that game and bad enough to lose the way we did.
Individual mistakes.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a game where we've gone, we were absolutely shocking there. We've got beat 4-5 and we've not had a touch of the ball. I don't think we've played bad in any game. We're close to being the perfect result every week, and that is the consistency we're at now. So if we are at our consistent form, we're playing the way we do, and look, results go against us, as it happened against Leeds recently. Them sort of results happen. I've played Football Manager for years. I know they happen. But I'm not concerned. I'm only concerned about is if we have an off day, then a team like Chelsea will punish us. We can have an off day against a team like Aston Villa. We can have an off day against somebody like Southampton, and they might not be good enough to get a victory against us. Chelsea will. However, if we are imperious best and we've got I think Aguero and Jesus are probably going to be close to starting. If Aguero's not fit, then I think Jesus will start. We've got to get these strikers in some sort of form,
I agree.
If we need him. So I feel like if we can get a striker on the pitch and we can do well, I just don't think any team domestically can beat us. And it's just another game to win for us, and then just keep that form going into the next one. Don't be so pessimistic.
I love it.
I like it.
I love it. Right, we're going to end it on that note. Just before we go, we are giving the opportunity to win a signed Phil Foden framed shirt. Jump on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. It's been the pinned post at the top if you want more information about that. If you're watching us on YouTube, guys, have you seen our YouTube over the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, we pinged it up. We got up about
bang.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We're over 2,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. Thank you to everybody. Loads of likes, comments, and keep them sharing. If you're listening to this on a podcast, we're getting 17,000 downloads on the podcast at the minute, so we're doing fantastically well on that. Thank you to everyone. All I ask you to do is go on and give us a review, 5 stars. Tell us how great we are. If you think we can improve on anything, or you think we're crap, please tell us. We love feedback. It's great. I'll take on all feedback. I'll just pass it through to Brian to deal with. No issues. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Lovely to see you all again.
See you in a bit.
See you soon. Have a good one.
Optimistic, it scares me. Bye, guys.